call for public support for illegal miners in Stilfontein.
Now, several illegal miners in Stilfontein, northwest, claim that besides hunger, they're also being physically abused underground. In the past 48 hours, a number of them have voluntarily come out of the disused shafts. The treatment of the miners has been the subject of the courts, with some human rights groups arguing that a humanitarian crisis is unfolding underground. The lawyer for the Society for the Protection of Our Constitution, Yasmin Omar, joins me now to chat a little bit more. Yasmin, thank you so much for the time and for joining us here on AM Report. Just yesterday, I had a conversation as well around the humanitarian crisis that is ultimately happening in this situation as well. And the protection of our Constitution is very important here, because it's ultimately the rights of these miners that we don't want to see infringed on. Where are we as we currently stand, and how difficult a situation is this, whether you look at it from government's perspective or even from the miners' perspective and all those in the community who want to, of course, help?
Thank you, Arabella. Thank you for having me. As we've consistently said since we approached the courts for assistance in this matter, is that this is a humanitarian crisis. We are sitting with a situation where people underground are dying, and we see the numbers increasing every day. So it is definitely a matter where there is a glaring need for the community, for the public, to speak out against the treatment of those miners underground. We must remember that it doesn't matter who those miners are, whether they are foreigners or local people. The Constitution guarantees everybody in the country the right to life. And what is happening now is that the police are continuing to use starvation tactics to get the people to surrender. There was a press statement released by government on, I think it was yesterday, that indicated that there was misinformation being given to the public, and that certain assertions made by the organizations that went to court were incorrect. We find that the information being disseminated by government is in fact misleading to the public. The information contained in that press statement suggested that there was sufficient food supply and that miners underground could come out voluntarily. Now, that is simply not true. The truth of it is borne out by the fact that we are receiving corpses out of those mines. And the number of corpses are increasing, and we can see that people are dying while we are watching on TV. So it definitely is not a situation where the public are being misled. And we say respectfully to government that it is misleading to say that there is nothing wrong and that the people can simply walk out of those mines and they've got enough food. There is a crisis that's ensuing because of the manner in which the state is policing those people underground.
Yasmin, I'll formally admit, of course, that neither you nor I are, of course, experts in excavation or evacuating staff, for example, especially miners in these mine shafts as well. But a recent trend in the last 48 hours is that a number of miners have independently made their way out of these mines as well. Why is that not happening more, do you think?
Well, I think we must also clarify what independently means, because the shafts that they are coming out of, shaft 10 and shaft 11, are not shafts where people can simply walk out of the mine. The shaft is a drop of about 2 kilometers. We've established that, and that's been established in the court proceedings and by the media and all accounts of people who have been interviewed in that area. So we've got a 2-kilometer drop. And that doesn't allow for miners to simply walk out without assistance. What happened is that despite the court ordering government to facilitate the retrieval originally, when government was told allow the community members at least to conduct rescue efforts, it was the community who implemented their own police system to pull out the miners. So the miners didn't come out on their own. They came out with the assistance of community groups who put a rope down and began pulling the miners out. So let us be clear on that, insofar as government is saying they can simply come out, they simply can't come out on their own. It's impossible, practically impossible to come out, because that mine, the entrance is so deep, it's a drop. So it requires outside intervention, people coming out from the outside to assist by dropping a rope down at minimum to bring them out. Now, what government is doing is it's standing back and saying, well, they can just come freely, and that is misleading to the public, and leaving the task of pulling those people out of there to the community. So they're saying we are policing. This is a policing effort. But when to get the people out, we're going to rely on the community to pull them out. And as we've seen over the last few weeks, the community is saying even we are running out of resources to pull the people out and to feed them. There's not enough resources for us to utilize to save the people. So I think that the suggestion that the miners can simply come out independently is clearly wrong.
Yeah, the fact that we have a government that fought so heavily for the constitutional rights of every single citizen, and yet now we need to compel that very same government to ensure that it actually respects and goes along with ensuring that the rights of these miners are then maintained. That is a key question mark at hand here. How do we compel government to then do what it's always said it's wanted to do for every citizen?
Arabella, that's exactly the point. I mean, we're sitting in a situation where we've got this constitution that we fought long and hard for. Blood was shed for this constitution. And here we have a situation where government is implementing measures using starvation tactics in the name of policing, allowing people to die, and the right of life of those people being compromised significantly.
Yeah.
Now, it should not have been the case that organizations have to go to court to alert the public, to alert the world, and to alert government that you are missing your mark here. Your job is not to go and persecute impoverished communities like this. Your job is to conduct administration of justice in a way that is humane. There should not be inhumane treatment meted out to anybody, whether they are locals or foreigners. So what is happening now is it appears because government has named these people illegal miners, and has stamped a sense of disapproval on them.
Yeah.
There is a policy now implemented where, because we say that they are criminals before even trying them, we're going to allow them to die underground. And that is absolutely intolerable. As a nation, we should not accept this. I mean, many organizations, many trade unions have come forward and said the situation is unacceptable. But why is government turning a deaf ear to all of those cries and saying we are right, everybody else is wrong? Surely we all do not want to take on our government and vilify our government. We want a government that operates in line with the Constitution, and which is why so many organizations have gone to court. So many people are crying out. So many people are saying that something is not right there.
Yeah.